I'm going to tell you what it's like to visit Washington, D.C. during September. Hello, welcome to Trip Hacks DC. My name is Rob. I'm a tour guide here in the nation's capital. If you're coming to Washington, D.C. and you're looking for the best tips, tricks, and hacks for exploring the city, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification icon so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you're interested in signing up for a Trip Hacks DC tour, head on over to triphacksdc.com afterwards to see the tours that we offer. This video is part of my month-by-month series where I tell you what it's like to visit Washington, D.C. each month of the year, including information about the weather, special events, and other month-specific information. If you have visited DC during September before, leave a comment on this video and let everyone know whether you thought it was a good month to visit. Otherwise, let's get started. September is the month where we transition away from the peak summer tourist season, so it tends to feel a lot calmer and more relaxed. If you can swing a September trip, this is one of the best possible months that you can come and visit. The crowds are relatively light, and there are almost no field trip groups here. However, one big downside to September is that hotel rates are much more expensive than they were a month earlier in August. That's because August has very minimal business and conference travel, whereas September does. So make sure you watch my video series about getting a great rate on a DC hotel. I will leave a link to that playlist down in the video description. September weather is, on average, really nice. In episode 12 of the Trip Hacks DC podcast, weather expert Jason Samenow talked about how this is one of his two favorite months of the year, weather-wise. Average daily highs in September are 81 degrees, and average daily lows are 63 degrees. Most importantly though, September is when the humidity really starts to ramp down. It's not guaranteed, and we do still sometimes get muggy days in September, but it's a much better chance that you'll have a nice day than in, say, July, when every day is guaranteed to be hot and muggy. September is squarely during Atlantic hurricane season, and Washington, D.C. does occasionally get affected by hurricanes. And again, if you want to learn more about that, or any other weather phenomenon here, I highly recommend the Trip Hacks DC podcast, which I will leave a link to down in the video description. To pack for September, you're mostly going to want to think in terms of summer clothes. I mostly wear shorts for September weather, but I do occasionally have to get my light jacket out of the closet. Mostly if it's going to be a below average temperature day, or I'm giving a tour really early in the morning. Pack pants if you're planning to do things like go to a show at the Kennedy Center, eat at a fancy restaurant, or even if you're planning to go to a late September baseball or soccer game. It can get pretty chilly at those games once the sun goes down. And of course, true in every month, comfortable walking shoes are a must. There is one federal holiday in September, Labor Day. This is held on the first Monday of the month, so depending on the calendar, Labor Day weekend might actually spill into August, which is exactly what's happening in 2019. The most notable Labor Day event is the concert on the West Lawn of the Capitol. This is one of the three big concerts at the Capitol, with the other two being Memorial Day and Independence Day. I actually personally like this one more than the other two, because it always feels much more chill than those. Labor Day is considered the unofficial end of summer. So if you come over Labor Day weekend, you're going to find a lot of end of summer festivities, especially at the bars and restaurants around town. Another holiday is the National Day of Service and Remembrance on September 11th. It's not a day that people are going to have off work or school, but if you come on September 11th, you might find things happening at the memorials, Arlington Cemetery, and the Pentagon Memorial. As far as big events, the big one is the National Book Festival, hosted by the Library of Congress. This is usually held the Saturday before Labor Day, so it's usually in September. But depending on the calendar, it might actually wind up being in August. I have an entire video about tips for visiting the Book Fest if you're interested in going. Otherwise, make sure you go to the website loc.gov/bookfest to find out what this year's date is. September is the month when a lot of neighborhoods host their neighborhood festivals. This includes events like the H Street Festival, Adams Morgan Day, and Barracks Row Fall Festival. These are usually held on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, during September. These are typically for locals and not really advertised to visitors, but they can be a fun way to explore a new neighborhood. September is also the month when we have the DC State Fair. And yes, I know DC is not a state, that's a topic for an entire another video, but we still try to have a one-day state fair with fried foods, contests, and other fun things to do. If you're coming to DC in September, it might be because you're running in a marathon or doing a charity walk or run. September is when these events start to pick up, as the weather's cooler and the crowds are smaller. If you're a sports fan, Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer are coming to the end of their respective seasons. And once kids go back to school, tickets for these games get really cheap on secondary ticket websites like SeatGeek and StubHub. I have a blog post about getting cheap tickets to these games that I will leave down in the video description. And that's it. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, you can subscribe to this channel by clicking or tapping on the TripHacks DC logo, which is popping up right now at the bottom of the screen. And if you're coming to DC and want to sign up for a TripHacks DC tour, you can click on the Capitol Dome on the left side of my head. That'll send you over to triphacksdc.com, where you can see all of the tours that we offer. Enjoy your trip!